In the heart of America, a shadow organization rose from the political corruption and back alleys of the early 20th century. This is the story of the Chicago Outfit, an Italian-American crime syndicate that would come to define an era of lawlessness, power, and unimaginable violence. Born in the 1910s, its influence would explode during Prohibition, turning the city of Chicago into a battleground for control over the lucrative illegal alcohol trade. The name that echoes loudest from this period is, of course, Al Capone. But Capone didn't create the outfit. He inherited a machine built by figures like Big Jim Colosimo and Johnny the Fox Torrio. It was Torrio who, seeing the immense potential of Prohibition, masterminded the consolidation of various gangs into a single, powerful entity. When an assassination attempt prompted Torrio's retirement, he handed the keys to the kingdom to his ambitious and ruthless protege, a 26-year-old Al Capone. Under Capone, the Chicago Outfit wasn't just a gang, it was an empire. Its tentacles reached far beyond bootlegging, wrapping around gambling, loan sharking, extortion, and labor racketeering. Capone was more than a gangster. He was a celebrity, a businessman who operated with a chilling blend of public charm and private brutality. He controlled politicians, judges, and police officers, creating a city within a city where his word was law. The outfit was estimated to be earning over $100 million a year, at its peak an astronomical sum in the 1920s. This rise to power was not without bloodshed. Chicago became a war zone. Rival gangs, most notably the North Side Gang, initially led by Diane O'Banion and later by George Bugs Moran, refused to bow to Capone's dominance. Car bombings, drive-by shootings, and public executions became terrifyingly common. The conflict was a brutal chess match played on the city's streets, with each side trying to outmaneuver and eliminate the other. The prize? Absolute control of Chicago's billion-dollar vice industry. This simmering gang war reached its horrifying climax on a cold winter morning. The date was February 14th, 1929. A day typically associated with love and affection would be forever stained with blood. In a garage on North Clark Street, the headquarters of Bugs Moran's North Side Gang, a trap was set. Capone, who made sure he had a rock-solid alibi by being in Florida, orchestrated the single most infamous gangland slaying in American history, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. The plan was diabolical in its simplicity. 4 of Capone's men, 2 of them disguised in police uniforms, entered the garage. Moran's men, assuming it was a routine police raid, dropped their weapons and lined up against the wall. There was no rest. There was no warning. The fake officers and their plain-clothed accomplices opened fire with Thompson submachine guns and shotguns, unleashing a hailstorm of over 70 rounds. 7 men associated with the North Side Gang were executed in cold blood. The victims included key Moran lieutenants, but the primary target, Bugs Moran himself, narrowly escaped. He was running late and saw the police car pull up, so he waited outside, inadvertently saving his own life. When the real police arrived, they were met with a scene of utter carnage. The brutality was shocking, even for a city hardened by years of gang violence. One victim, Frank Kusenberg, was found still alive despite having 14 bullet wounds. When police asked him who shot him, his last words, loyal to the gangster's code of silence, were "Nobody shot me." The massacre was a message, delivered with terrifying precision. It was Al Capone declaring his undisputed kingship over Chicago's underworld. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre effectively decapitated the North Side Gang. While Bugs Moran survived, his organization was shattered, its power broken. The public, who had once been somewhat fascinated by Capone, was now horrified. The massacre turned public opinion squarely against him and spurred federal law enforcement, who had been struggling to build a case, to intensify their efforts. They couldn't get him for murder, but they could get him for something else. The very power and wealth Capone had amassed became his undoing. The federal government, led by Treasury Agent Elliot Ness and his team of untouchables, relentlessly pursued Capone's financial trail. In 1931, the man who had ordered countless deaths and controlled a city was finally brought down not by a bullet, but by a bookkeeper. Al Capone was convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. Eventually ending up in Alcatraz, his imprisonment marked the end of an era. The outfit, however, did not die with Capone's conviction. It adapted under new leadership. Figures like Paul the Waiter Rica and Tony Joe Batter's Accardo. The organization shifted its focus. It moved away from the high-profile violence of the Capone years and delved deeper into labor racketeering, infiltrating Hollywood unions, and expanding its gambling operations to places like Las Vegas. They became more sophisticated, more secretive. The shadow in Jihov shadow organization became thicker. For decades, the Chicago outfit remained one of the most powerful and feared organized crime families in the United States. But the world changed. Increased federal scrutiny, the racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations RICO Act, and the decline of their traditional rackets slowly chipped away at their power. By the 21st century, the outfit was a shadow of its former self, its influence greatly diminished. Today, it is believed to be led by Salvatore Soli de Laurentiis, a ghost from a bygone era. The story of the Chicago outfit, from its bloody rise under Al Capone to its gradual fade into history, is a quintessential American tale of ambition, crime, and consequence. The legacy of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and the Prohibition Era gang wars still echoes through the streets of Chicago. A chilling reminder of a time when gangsters ruled an empire and love turned to blood on Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of history's most infamous criminal organizations. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Let me know in the comments what piece of history you'd like to explore next. Until then, stay curious.